Like so many videos I make on this channel, I try to find the most inspiring and crazy stories in the football world. The subject of today's video once again has one of those stories. He went from not playing football till he was later on in high school, to 2 years later being named one of the most athletic freaks in all of college football. Since then, he's also gone under the radar, and as of today, is one of the brightest young stars in the NFL, and one of the top graded defensive players in all of football. In today's video, we're going to talk about how he did this, how he overcame all the odds, and why he is slowly starting to take over the NFL. But right before we get into it, nearly 81% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel, so quickly be sure to do that, smash that like button for the algorithm, and turn on post notifications so you never miss when I upload. Now, let's get started. You're probably wondering who am I talking about, and the subject of today's video is former Penn State and current Baltimore Raven, Odafe Oweh. In college, he went by Justin, but that was always his middle name because he was of Nigerian descent. He said, quote, "People were having trouble pronouncing Odafe, so I went to Jason in my early years, but I don't care anymore. You're going to have to learn how to pronounce it." This guy is a freak of nature, as at the combine, he measured in at 6'5", 256 pounds, but ran a 4.33 40-yard dash and had a vertical jump of nearly 37 inches. I don't know about you, but that is pretty crazy. But before he became an athletic freak, he was trying to play a different sport, and he came from a different country. His parents are of Nigerian descent, but he was a first-generation American, but that did not stop how important his heritage would become to him. He said, quote, "I'm fortunate to be over here and really reap the benefits of being an American and having the opportunity, but I can't see that for everybody in Nigeria. I just want to give them an opportunity to showcase and display all of their talent." Obviously, his heritage is very important to him, and so was a different sport. It wasn't football, it was basketball. He originally started playing basketball as a kid, and with his athletic talent, he naturally became a good player at it. It actually runs in the family as well, as his brother is a 2022 player who actually has a Penn State offer. The plan for Justin was to go through it playing basketball and eventually play at a high major level. He was going to enroll with the prestigious Blair Academy, which has one of the best basketball programs in the state of New Jersey. He was going to become a Division I hoops player. Then, everything changed. When he went into Blair Academy to apply, he had been talking to the different staff members and administrators about getting into the school, when all of a sudden the football coach walked by him. He looked at the guy and said he should be playing football, and here's what the football coach said. Quote, "The basketball coach told me there was a kid in the admissions office who was going to enroll as a basketball player. I just happened to be walking by, and when I saw him, I asked if he was here to play football. He laughed it off, but I just told him that he looked like a football player to me and that he should give it a shot." Justin saw it a different way. He said, quote, "The football coach saw me and begged me to play football, and I really didn't want to. I did play my first season, and I didn't really like it, to be honest. You know, that's how the basketball people are. It's all finesse, and I didn't like the physicality of football. Plus, my mom, she didn't like the physicality either, and she kind of pushed me away from football. Then I started making plays and fell in love with the process, and the rest is history." In 2 seasons as a Buccaneer, Oweh registered a combined 102 tackles, 20 sacks, and 15 tackles for loss. He was a game-changing player on the defensive line, and college scouts started to take notice. His first big offer came from the in-state school of Penn State, and that came in April of 2017. Ohio State offered shortly after, and he developed a special relationship with James Franklin and the Penn State staff. He was one of the top prospects in the state of New Jersey, but while he was getting a ton of recruiting hype, he wasn't really focused on that. He was more so focused on winning, which is what a lot of football coaches want to see. He said, quote, "I obviously want to win my division. We only play 8 games because prep leagues are different. We want to win the championship. I want to lead the division in sacks and prove that I'm a versatile player and the best player in the state of New Jersey." Oweh ended up having a great career there, as I previously mentioned, and he was selected to the Under Armour All-American game, and this was a really big moment for him. He said he would have thought you were crazy if you told him this 2 or 3 years ago, and that it was an unbelievable honor. He said it was a testament to God and all the hard work he had put in, and he was also a huge fan of the brand of Under Armour, so overall, it was just a dream come true for Justin. Oweh was 6'5" at the time, and he had 13 sacks as a senior. He had a lot more offers than sacks, as he eventually chose Penn State over Ohio State, and also received offers from Alabama, Georgia, Miami, Michigan, and Wisconsin, pretty much every school. He announced his commitment to Penn State during the Under Armour All-American game, and he was also joined by another dude named Micah Parsons. You probably know him, as he was actually banned from going to Ohio State, so he went on to Penn State. These two are the best athletes in Penn State's class, and both would wreak havoc in the future. But as of right now, Oweh decided to go to Penn State, because he wanted to find the best environment for him as both a person and a player. Now he knew where he was going to school, but could he turn all that athletic potential into becoming a star? Well, his head coach had this to say about it. Quote, his upside is just tremendous. Right now he's in a program where we get 10 hours of practice per week, and he has to practice offense and defense. When he gets to a college program and has 3 hours each day just to focus on defensive end, it's going to be special. He's like a flower that hasn't even bloomed yet. His head coach Tyler Donahue predicted the rise, and 24/7 Sports also thought pretty highly of him. According to them, he was a 4-star recruit, the number 4 defensive end, and the 76th best player in the class of 2018. He was a big deal, but could he put it all together at Penn State? Well, James Franklin thought that. He said going into Penn State that there was a lot of buzz about Jason since he arrived on campus, and that he was extremely athletic and was getting better all the time. He also kept talking about how high his ceiling was, and his opportunity to grow in football was dramatic. Unfortunately, we would not see it in 2018, as Oweh would decide to redshirt. 2019 is when we first got a chance to see him on the field, and he did pretty well. In 2019, Oweh became one of the most disruptive pass rushers in both the Big Ten and in all the country. He finished with 21 tackles and 5 sacks. The guy was constantly in opposing teams' backfields, and with all the talent that Penn State had on that defensive line, Oweh was starting to stand out. His best game would come on the road against Michigan State, as in that matchup he finished the game with 2 sacks. Penn State, on the other hand, had a pretty good season, as they had 2 regular season losses to both Ohio State and Minnesota, and they qualified for the Cotton Bowl, where they would beat Memphis. Going into 2020, Bruce Feldman always comes up with a list of the most athletic players in college football, and he ranked Oweh as a top 10 player, and actually had him ranked ahead of Micah Parsons. As you guys know, Parsons is absolutely taking over the NFL right now for the Cowboys, so this was a testament to how good Odafe had become. In 2020, everything got all messed up, and Penn State did not exactly play their full potential, and the same thing was for Justin. In only 7 games, Odafe registered 38 tackles, but he failed to have a single sack. He was always in the backfield, but his problem was he could not convert pass rushing into sacks. That was one major concern going into the 2021 NFL Draft, but for now, he was still focusing on his senior year. His best game came when he had 10 tackles against Maryland, and he also showed up against both Nebraska and Ohio State. Penn State definitely had a down year, but Odafe was ready to move on to the next stage of football, the NFL. He tested extremely well at the Combine, and despite not having a single sack in 2020, he still managed to go in the first round. The Baltimore Ravens had been lacking a guy who was truly elite at pass rushing, so they thought they would take a chance and draft Oweh. It ended up paying dividends pretty much immediately. He was taken with the 31st pick, and in the second game of the 2021 NFL season, he made a game-sealing play against the Kansas City Chiefs. You guys probably remember, but the Ravens upset the Chiefs in week 2, and Odafe had a late fumble recovery which gave them the win. What did he have to say about this? Quote, on the play, I was supposed to jam inside the B guy, which I did, but once I did that, I saw it was clear. The offensive lineman was holding me a little bit, so I couldn't really get out there how I wanted to, but I got out enough, and I was able to slap the ball out, and as soon as I slapped it, I saw it hit the ground, and I had to get that ball and win the game. That is exactly what he did. And not only did he have that great moment, but so far during this year, he's been one of the highest graded rookie linemen in the NFL, and he even led all rookies in pressures. He's been extremely dynamic for the Ravens defense, and he's finally starting to turn those pressures into sacks. So far, he's played in a total of 10 games, and he's registered 20 tackles with 2 forced fumbles and 4 sacks. He's more than likely to be one of the top graded rookies in the NFL, and everyone is so excited about his potential. It seems like he's slowly living up to it, and he's already one of the best defenders on this Baltimore Ravens squad. Personally, I'm really excited to see how he's going to do over the next few years, and I always love the stories of players turning from basketball to football. Let me know your thoughts on today's video, smash that like button so it can get in the algorithm and help the channel out, and check out all my other videos on the end screen, including my similar style video on Christian Barmore from Alabama. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.